welcome to another episode of Kalash Messing Up My Gear Room. Today we'll be traveling to Taif, Saudi Arabia, a trip which I did in 2022. Hello? So who in their right mind wants to travel to Saudi Arabia for touristic purposes? People like me, I suppose. So what is this place Taif? Why would you want to go there? This is a question that some Saudis even ask me. Why do you want to go to Taif? What is there to do in Taif? Taif is a summer destination, but why do you want to go there in March? So there is a Rose Festival happening in Taif in March, and Taif is a city in province of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. It's quite well known with the Hajj travelers because it's one of the destinations from which they make the journey to do the Hajj, but it's not so well known with the world travelers. Taif is a city with a population of 1 million people located in the mountains. The climate of Taif city makes it quite unique because they can grow a lot of crops and roses, and the roses blossom from mid-March until the first week of April. The trip was organized by the UAE company called Tamashi. They make sandals and organize cultural trips all over the Arabian Peninsula. I wanted to go with them in 2019, but back then there was no visas available. In 2020, Corona already kicked in. In 2021, the borders with Saudi Arabia were closed. So finally, in 2022, I managed to go on a trip. The trip started early in the morning because we had to take a connection flight from Riyadh. Back then, it was still very impacted by Corona and there was no direct flights to Taif. Today, however, you can take a direct flight and it's much nicer and much easier. You don't have to arrive all sleepy and half dead. The weather in Dubai in March 2022 was already rather hot, so it was very pleasant to arrive to Taif airport and be greeted with a cool wind, greenery and smiling people everywhere. We briefly picked up our suitcases, went to check into the hotel, drink a few cups of Saudi coffee, of course, you cannot skip that, and then we went to explore the rose farms right away. Even though the best time to visit the rose farms is early in the morning, because the flowers just open up, they are very fresh and very fragrant. We had a lovely time roaming around, playing with the flowers, sniffing and enjoying the fragrances. Then we had a generous lunch with kabsa. This is a Saudi dish that I really enjoy. It's sort of like biryani but with a little bit different spices. Then we had a tour of the farm where the owners told us how the perfumes are being made. And actually it is quite hot in the premises of the factory because there is a lot of boiling going on. The process of making perfumes in Saudi is still traditional and it is done the same way it was done 100 years ago. And during this time when the roses are blossoming, they produce most of the fragrances and soaps and other products where rose oil is involved. One thing that not a lot of people know is that Taif roses essences are used in most famous brands all over the world like Chanel, but they're just branded as roses, they're not branded as Saudi roses. The lady from Tamashi company who was one of the organizers of this trip grew up in Taif and she still has relatives living in Taif. So she took us to the park, which is called Rudaf Park, where she spent some of her childhood in. We had to try all the local snacks, including the dish that I have no idea how it is pronounced, and the ice cream, and then some other things. So we took a little digestive walk around the park. After that, we went to Taif Market. Taif Market is one of the oldest markets in Saudi Arabia. It is very traditional. We arrived at the time when it was a prayer time, so most of the shops were closed, although it is not compulsory to close the shops anymore for prayer. But people in this side of Saudi Arabia, in this town of Taif, are still quite religious. Last year in March, it was just before the start of Ramadan and they started to put decorations around it, which was very beautiful. Ramadan decorations is one of the best things that you can see in the Middle East. While we were waiting for the shops to open, I had a very cute moment where a girl of like maybe 5 years old, she came up to me and she said, "Welcome to Saudi Arabia, I love you." and then she ran away, and I found it so touching, and I really wanted to take pictures of her, but her mom was right there and I just didn't feel confident enough to breach the privacy. But I will never forget this moment. It was very nice. And generally people were very friendly and smiling and welcoming us. Of course they wanted to sell us stuff and we just wanted to look at it. But nevertheless, we had a great time. The next day we started with a traditional breakfast served at the hotel, consisting of ful, which is a dish made out of full beans, breads, and tea, because there was no coffee at the hotel. The soundtrack to all of this action was sounds from Mecca, which were broadcasted on a large TV. But one of our group members decided to raid the Dunkin' Donuts and bring a large container of black coffee and of course donuts for those who maybe were not satisfied with the traditional breakfast. We went to Al Shaffah rose farm, which is one of the most famous, located in the high mountains of Taif. The air was so clear there, it was very fresh, the sky was very blue, and it was just amazing to roam around the lines of roses, looking at guys working their way through, picking up the fresh roses that just opened up this morning. Then we visited another shop to buy another bunch of rose products, and then we went to see the owner of one of the small factories, who is a 94-year-old guy who has 4 wives, and he told us that he's still very much involved in the process of making rose products, and they also offered us to shower us in rose petals for the pictures, which was very nice of them. Afterwards we went to another rose farm to have a lunch, which consisted of a traditional Saudi bread, which was served with honey and rose petals. The next stop in our tour was a rather exciting one. We visited a local tribe who were to perform a tribal dance with guns. We visited a village, the name of which you can see here, where a tribe of young Saudi men were reciting poetry and again greeting us with roses and showing us their gun skills. Basically, this dance is a tribal dance which was performed in the past before going to fight with other tribes. Nowadays, this ritual is only performed for weddings or special occasions like religious holidays, but us being special guests, we were invited to see this without any special occasion. We were greeted by the tribe members, seated and served food and drinks, showered with roses once again, and then invited to see the performance. The performance basically consists of people reciting poetry first, and then doing rounds of jumping with the guns either by themselves or in pair. We were of course very fascinated to see the performance, and normally women are not allowed to take part in this kind of action, but being special guests, they gave us a chance to shoot the guns as well. I'm normally not really into shooting guns, but because everybody said that I should go first, as a person who is a non-Arab and non-Emirati and non-Saudi, so I had to oblige. Actually, I can understand the excitement because every time that you shoot a gun, you feel the adrenaline rush. Thankfully, everything went well and nobody got hurt, including me. Afterwards, we went to a horse farm where we were offered to take a horse ride or just sit around the fire and enjoy the stars and the quiet of the Taif night. Although the weather was quite chilly that night, we were not really cold because we had snacks and the fire was going strong. And afterwards, we had another round of Saudi food, including all kind of rice dishes, meat dishes, and a variety of desserts. So actually it was really hard to move after indulging in all of that food. It was a little bit sad to realize that it was the last night and tomorrow we had to go home, but the adventures were not finished yet. After having a restful night at the hotel, we were ready to go to the airport, but not yet. We were still to visit a few places in Taif city itself, one of which was Beit al-Kateb. Beit al-Kateb includes a number of Islamic decorations and Roman pillars. It was built in 1897 by Mohammed bin Abdul Wahid. From the first look, the palace has been closed because there was a chain on the door and a lock. but not to our tour guide, who just very carefully removed everything and let us in. The place was magnificent, although hugely run down, and we had to be careful moving around because the floor was in a state of ruins and the walls started to crumble as well. We were explained how the traditional Saudi homes work. It's a perfect place for a photo shoot, but of course I wish that they renovated the place and opened it to the public. So our last cultural stop before heading off to the airport was the Museum of Taif, which normally opens at 4, but we were lucky enough that they opened the place just for us to visit at 10 a.m. The place consists of a lot of Saudi memorabilia, including old cameras, old cars, and all kind of decorations. It's very interesting and a beautiful place. I really recommend that you visit it if you have a chance. Before going to the airport, we visited Baik. Well, not visited, actually purchased highly unhealthy food. Baik is a Saudi fast food chain restaurant serving chicken, and it was first only available in Jeddah, but nowadays you can even buy this food in Dubai. It is maybe overrated, but it was good to have something before going on a long trip back to Dubai. When we arrived to the airport, we had a few bottles of water with us, but the Saudi customs said that it's not a problem to take anything we have with us. They let us in into the waiting room without even really checking our boarding passes. They just asked us where we're going and just said, okay, yalla, go. Information on the board let us know that our plane is actually 2 hours late, which was quite a problem because we needed to make a connection in Riyadh to make it to Dubai. And the guy whom we asked about when our plane is gonna arrive, he said, inshallah, on time, everything is gonna be fine. So when the plane finally touched down and let out the passengers, they just announced in a loudspeaker that guys, you should go to the plane. No airline number, no flight number, just guys, go to the plane. And we went to the plane and took off to Riyadh, thankfully made our connection and returned to Dubai with bags full of roses and rose products and good memories that I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more videos about travels to Saudi Arabia and other parts of the world, please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, welcome to the comment section. And I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.